and talk to Richard Murphy, Professor of Accounting at Sheffield University Management School. Professor, good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. UK Finance Minister Rishi Sunak describing this as historic. Your reaction to this global corporation tax deal?
It is historic. It's unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this before, in the sense that a country, the large countries in particular, are saying that they can tax income that a company wants to record in another country, whether they like it or not. Now, that is something we haven't seen before. So it's novel. As a tax justice campaigner, I'm keen on it. But, and there are lots of buts, there are reservations to be had, and you've already mentioned some of them.
What are your reservations? You've written elsewhere there's a large loophole, not just you. In simple terms, for those of us who are not tax experts, what are these large loopholes? Why so much concern?
Well, one is that it's 15% when the average rate of tax in the OECD is 25%. Why such a low rate? Why this 10% profit margin that is going to be required before any company has its profits reallocated between countries to stop abuse? Amazon falls out as a result. So do other companies. Companies we didn't expect to be in, maybe banks, maybe pharmaceutical companies, are involved. And we thought this was only going to be targeted at tech companies. So there's problems there. But the big one is, who gets the accounting right? Are we going to depend upon the big four to deliver the information that we need, on which this whole arrangement would depend? And I'm not completely confident as yet that we have the data we'll need to make this work.
How easy will it be for companies to evade, avoid, dodge, for want of a better word, higher international corporation tax?
Well, I'll use the word game rather than dodge, avoid or evade. Companies do game the tax system. They look for loopholes. Let me give you a simple example here. Suppose we have one of these large companies which does have a very high profit margin. Suppose they merged with another large company with a very low profit margin. They could put the two together into one company and therefore avoid this tax liability by bringing down their average profit rate. It's an obvious route to actually overcoming this problem for them. I've already discussed this with people in the City of London today, and they seem to think that's on the cards. It could be a motive. So, yeah, they could be serious side effects of this, completely unforeseen by the G7.
This flies or dies on international cooperation, doesn't it? I mean, the international community hasn't exactly covered itself in glory in working together on coronavirus. What chance cooperation on tax?
Well, I was heavily involved at the OECD in negotiating the last major round of negotiations, what was called the base erosion and profit shifting process. And there was a surprising degree of cooperation at the end of the day. So I think they could do this. But, and again, there's a big but, I've heard China's reservations. I hear the reservations from developing countries. There is a massive bias in this whole agreement, as it now stands, towards head office locations like London, like New York, like Frankfurt, and it's not sharing the loot fairly as it stands at present. I think there will be more negotiation at the G20 when we get there to see how the loot can be shared better, because there is money to be raised here, but it isn't necessarily going out to the world fairly at the moment. So I think that's where the objections will arise.
Our correspondent in New York, John Terrett, was saying that detail is everything in this, of course. Let's say you're put in charge of the final negotiations here. The details are still being thrashed out. What do you want to see?
Oh, what I want to see is transparency. More than anything else, I want to see the accounting on which this works. If we end up with the rules in the way they were announced at the weekend, and we did only get half a page of information to work on, but if we are to make this work, we have to see that it's fair. So we have to have country by country reporting accounts so that we know where the companies declare their profits. We have to know what the adjustments are, and we have to see better information about how much tax they pay and where. Right now, as an expert, and I think I probably am, I can really not make the accounts of large companies add up with regard to tax. Literally not add up with regard to tax. So we need better information. With that, we can show that there is fairness. If we could show that, then there would be a much better chance of agreement. So transparency would be my absolute #1 demand, so that everybody can believe they get a fair deal.